What I'm going to be breaking down in the next few minutes is one of the most structured, tactical webinar funnels based on his email marketing and SMS campaigns that I have been personally hit after opting in just to see what his webinar funnel looks like. And that is none other than Brook Hiddink, who is in the e-com space, who does about 3 million per month with his webinar funnel. Let's just get right into it. So now he has a YouTube audience of 93K subscribers. Obviously, he has a big audience on IG as well, 223K followers. Now, apart from this, his funnel just typically looks like he has his organic traffic, he has his paid ads as well. He also runs ads directly to the free live event. Now, he has this specific landing page. This is the traffic, all the traffic is directed to this specific landing page, and then once they get into this landing page, they have this webinar opt-in where they give their details, and then once they give their detail, they get directly sent to the thank you page. Now I can just show you what the workshop page and the thank you page looks like. It doesn't have any VSL, it just has like a normal stuff, basically what they actually get on the webinar, and just a normal opt-in. And once they specifically opt in, as you can see, there's all these steps that they have to follow just to make sure that they can increase show up rate. These steps are mandatorily done just to make sure the show up rate can increase between 10 to 15%. And one thing that you have to really understand, the reason that he has this golden ticket vibe kind of thing is just to incentivize them to stay till the end of the webinar, so that they can actually stick around for a long time and actually make sure that they can hear the pitch. Otherwise, there's no point of him actually running the webinar. Now, this is just the simple funnel that he has with his webinars, but what goes behind it is the most important thing. And that's something that I'm going to be breaking down. I was hit by nearly, I think, 38 touch points for actually registering the webinar and for not showing up to the webinar. So I got tagged with the no show sequence. Now, let me just quickly show you how many emails and nurture sequences that he had to make sure I actually show up to his webinar. So as soon as I opt in, I got targeted by a Zoom, and then a confirmation from his main Brook Hiddink email, and then he actually incentivizes by giving away his free GPT, giving away free value, and then he gives the specific SMS as well, just to make sure I am targeted with the SMS. And then, as I said, a golden ticket strategy. The golden ticket strategy is just to make sure that we actually reply to him and we actually stay till the end of the webinar. Now, the reason that what happens when we actually reply to his email is that his email health score will actually improve, so that it doesn't land in spams. And with this golden ticket, he also does, he also advises, not advices, also does like a small upsell with his SaaS program, that is his supplier HQ. Now what this does is obviously training the normal small upsells that he wants before actually hopping on the webinar. Now, even though I didn't reply to this specific email, he actually has this subject line where I actually replied, and that's why it says RE, which is psychologically confusing because I never replied. Now, what happens is this actually gives an illusion perspective that I actually replied. Similarly, there's a lot of emails and SMS that he does like this. Now, the reason he asks questions like this is because when you ask questions like this to an SMS, you actually want them to reply to your SMS so that you don't actually get flagged. It is very important to make sure that you have a very good, healthy SMS and email score, just to make sure you do not go on the wrong side of these nurture sequences. Because if your email score is really bad, they're not going to land in inbox, they're not probably going to have good open rates, that's going to not have better nurturing aspect of that specific sequence. Even with SMS, you need to be tactically sound with SMS, because you cannot simply blast SMS, because SMS is a bit compliant kind of thing. You want to be strategic, and that's why even with the Brook Hiddink, I never really got SMS so much, apart just 6 SMSs that are segregated or separated based on 5 days, or based on tags that I have been hit with, like no show tags and so on. Now he has a lot of these emails. I can show you. It's a lot. Again, a forward message that I. It's crazy how he has this. But let me just quickly break down. There's a lot of emails like this. As you can see, there's a lot of emails, and I still get emails from Brook. Now, in my opinion, do I advise you guys to actually hit with that much emails? Probably not. I think the ideal thing is just to hit, like, emails with, like, 2 to 3 per day, because you don't want to, like, completely burn out the other person's perspective. And it's not gonna be good, because he might flag it as spam, and it might end it as like a bad thing. It could also be good, or it could also be bad as well. You just need to be a bit more strategic. Now, these master stats are stats that I actually took based on connecting my Gmail, and I analyzed that he actually hit me 38 times with 32 emails and 6 SMS within the span of 5 days. That is an average 6 email per day, which I highly do not recommend. But not only just he sends these 6 emails, he doesn't send from the same Gmail account. Now, what do you mean by not the same Gmail account? So, if you can clearly look here, he actually uses the Brook Hiddink, email. But when it comes to like other stuff where, reply and then case studies and stuff, he uses, his team's email, like, Anastasia, or there's another guy, I don't remember his name, but there's another guy as well. Like, he uses their emails just to make sure that, the health score is spread across a lot of emails. And not only if one email goes down, he can also use the other email just to make sure that these nurture sequences are always hitting the right people. Now, this one domain is obviously digital.io, that his company is, or something. And the four out of the four unique senders, three of them are from his team, and one of them is this is a Zoom thing. Now, the reply ask email, there are three emails basically: the email 2, email 3, and email 4, where he asks for a reply so that he can actually increase his email health score. This is very important, because down the line, when you want to do email plus, you want to make sure that your email score is so high so that you can actually get higher open rates. Now, how does he actually segregate these senders? Now, Brook is doing these, confirmation emails, credibility, giving these urgency, and then handling objections by providing value, giving away free stuff. That is all done by Brook. Anastasia is more of like, this caring team member, where, this illusion emails that are created, reply or forward, check on this person, golden ticket, deadlines, adding more social proof. That is all done through the Anastasia team member email. Similarly, Brad is the CSM. He sends more testimonial just to make sure that, there's a credibility side of things. And then Zoom, as usual, it's more of like the invite for the meeting. Now, this is the specific senders of the email. Apart from that, the sequences of email, obviously, first, within the first 20 minutes, I actually got an opt in burst where, there's a confirmation email, there's a golden ticket email, there's an upsell that is done within the first 20 minutes itself, and then credibility is sent overnight, and then live countdown that is segregated, between 3 hours, 1 hour, and so on. And if I haven't showed up, he actually does a no show reactivation. And not just only a no show reactivation, he also sends a specific encore webinar. What is an encore webinar? Encore webinar is webinar that is for people who haven't attended. Now, it could only be just, some amount of value and direct to the pitch, instead of just having a long ass webinar, because nobody is actually going to sit through the entire webinar and see, right? So that's one thing. And then again, hard close based on, post to anchor thing, and then nurture resell. This flywheel, it keeps increasing like this here, again and again and again, just to make sure that, he makes these good sales. Now, I also analyzed the emails that he sent. Now, not only these opt-in emails, I'm just going to break down what type of opt-in emails he actually sent. He actually sent. So, first email that I actually got was a Zoom email. It was a confirmation email, and then the confirmation email, your private event link, that was sent by Brook. It was nothing but just the custom GPT, and also an upsell that he wanted me to buy, which was the supplier HQ. He wanted me to actually reply with lock in my seat so that he can actually increase his health. Now, the golden ticket thing is just to incentivize so that I can actually stay till the very end of the webinar, just so that it actually makes sure that I do not leave after just joining the webinar. That's one thing. And then the your golden ticket with the re is nothing but an illusion that I actually replied. I did not reply here. I actually replied here just to see what is actually there. But without actually replying, he actually creates this illusion. Now, this is the opt-in burst. Now, the credibility and skepticism is very simple. Now, he talks about the event. He talks about the specific formats, what he's going to be doing in the in the webinar, and then he's also going to be talking about what um, and how long the webinar is going to be in. Now, if it's going to be in 2 hours, it's going to be in 2 hours, and so on. Now, that's one thing. And then the live countdown emails. So basically, there's a 60-minute countdown, 30-minute reminder, and as soon as the workshop is starting, there's another email reminder. So that's one thing. And then again, if I'm not showing up to his webinars, there's no show reactivation with Encore. He actually warns me. He wanna give this urgency, scarcity. He pushes me to make sure that I actually hop on this Encore webinar. If not, he actually directly pushes onto this last chance of closing me into a specific program and so on. That's what he wants to be doing. He pushes out his testimonials, he pushes out everything. Now, what do you actually learn from what he does? Now, the thing that you want to be understanding here is that these emails are just gonna be pushing people into the program, and not just the program. It's just gonna be increasing the show up rate. And once they increase the show up rate, as soon as they get on the webinar, the nurture part is completely done on the webinar. This is just the email part that I've been talking about. Imagine the SMS. You also hit them with, logged in a spot, and then you ask them questions. And the reason you only have 6 SMSs is because it's too compliant. You don't want to push too much and then make sure that it becomes super hard for someone, and they just get annoyed and they just report you as spam, and then it's boom, it's GG. So you don't want to be doing that. And these are the tactics that he was using. Basically, he asks for reply, and there's like an inbox placement. He uses different senders, Zoom, and then obviously he has like a company email just to make sure deliverability is higher. Because the reason that you use the company email instead of the .com email is because with the .com, everybody sends email on that specific day, and deliverability rates can highly depend based on the amount of emails and the type of emails that these .com domains can actually send. That's why it is highly recommended to actually get a company email, so that you can maintain your own deliverability rate without it having to be affected by external factors, I would say. And then you just make sure that all the specific nurture sequences are dialed in with the specific times, not too much. Ideally, I would say just do 3 emails per day, and then maybe 1 SMS or maximum 2 SMS, with 6 SMSs spread across 5 days, and 15 emails, I would say, instead of doing 30, because 30 is just too wild, I would say. And the copywriting patterns on how he actually writes, obviously there's a curiosity gap. He kind of creates this illusion where I'm already he makes me feel bad by making me paranoid of me actually replying to his emails, which I didn't. And then he handles objections. Basically, he creates this personal connection with his emails, handles everything, nurtures everything, and makes sure that everything is so dialed in and the show up rates are so high. Because once the show up rates are high, the only thing that is mandatory or that is done on the webinar is just to make sure that the 1 hour is highly interactive, and he answers everybody's questions. He nurtures them, and what happens is he can either send them to a low 4-figure product, or a book in VSL call funnel, where he can get high quality nurtured audience prospect calls that he can close for big amounts. And that's why he's actually making $3 million per month, because he is aggressively nurturing and sending sequences that nobody else is doing in the space. And ecom, with the value that he's providing in the emails and the free value and the supplier HQ thing, it is really insane what he's been doing. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. I'm pretty sure this is one of the biggest breakdowns in e-com space for sure. I'm going to be breaking down other creators with webinar funnels or call funnels, just showing how they can optimize and everything. But this is the most important thing. Like when you're running webinars, you want to make sure that the email sequences and SMS sequences are so dialed in and the steps are so simple that it's not going to be that hard for the prospect to actually hop on the webinar. You want to make sure that that process is very simple and you do not complicate it. The most important thing is taking care of email health and SMS health, just to make sure that the show up is high. I'll see you guys later.